Can Solana hit $1,000 in 2025? Well, at the time we're recording this video, Bitcoin has been holding strong over $100,000 for about a month. And we're less than a month away right now from Q3 2025. And you know what that means? It's go time, baby. If we're going to see a parabolic run in Bitcoin's price, then if the Bitcoin 4-year cycle has any relevance anymore, then it should be happening over the next 7 months. And historically, whenever Bitcoin runs, altcoins tend to explode as well. So that brings me to our question of the day. Can Solana realistically hit $1,000 in 2025? Now that very question might sound a bit crazy. Oh, that's a big gain, Lark. It's crypto, man. If you think that's a big gain, you haven't been around to see when altcoins move. Because when these markets move, they move way faster and way harder than most people expect. Having said that, we also have to stay a little bit grounded, okay? Don't want to go over my skis here, because I'd rather unload my alts for healthy profits than sit around waiting for some ideal price target that may never hit. Think about it this way. If Solana goes to 650, 700, it's only an extra 50% gain to 1,000. What are you really missing out on at that point? You don't want to hold your bags through the bear market. You got to take profits. I've been there. You don't want to repeat that. You don't want to do that, guys. Seriously. So with all that in mind, let's dive into this idea, okay? We're going to introduce 3 Solana to $1,000 price tests and see which ones it's going to pass, which ones it could fail. Then we'll look at all the tests together to come up with some kind of definitive answer of, is this $1,000 price target for Solana in 2025 even realistic? And these big fat round numbers, people love to talk about them, but you don't need to get the big fat round number to make money. Just remember that. So dive in. Let's go. First test, Solana's percentage gains versus Bitcoin. Here's how this works. We're going to compare Solana's percentage gains to Bitcoin's gains from their respective 2022 price bottoms to current all-time highs for this cycle. Assume that Solana keeps this correlation to some extent to Bitcoin for the rest of the cycle. Run the math to see what price Bitcoin actually needs to hit in order for Solana to hit $1,000, and then ask ourselves if it is realistic that Bitcoin hits this particular price this year. So let's do just that. Since the bear market lows of 2022 until each coin's respective top in the cycle, so far, Bitcoin has increased 555%. My man. Over that same general period, Solana, which is the bottom chart, has increased 2,433%. This means that Solana's percentage gains have been 4.38x that of Bitcoin. So now assuming Solana keeps this edge over Bitcoin for the rest of the cycle, then Bitcoin needs to hit $240,000 by the end of the year, which I've been saying that for a while. That's a possibility. It's only 124% increase from here for Bitcoin. And if Solana is gonna do a 4.3x and keep its general correlation with how the cycle's gone so far on a percentage basis, well, in order to hit that $1,000 per coin, that's the math. Interesting, right? Now, how realistic is it that Bitcoin actually hits $240,000 by the end of the year? Well, that's a tough question to answer. It's, of course, absolutely possible, but it seems like we might be cutting it pretty close. I do think that Bitcoin hits 250K at some point, but maybe it happens in early 2026. Maybe this cycle goes way longer, way higher than people think. Gold ETF parallels, right? Nobody knows for certain. Nobody can predict the future. But let's outsource this question to the betting markets, Polymarket and Kalshi. So Polymarket bettors right now are giving Bitcoin a 7% chance of hitting $250,000 by the end of the year. Contrarian bet would say we hit it. Prediction markets say no. Bettors on Kalshi are saying there's a 6% chance. They're even more bearish. Therefore, let's just say that Solana hitting $1,000 under this test is relatively unlikely. Not impossible, of course. You never know. All kinds of factors could start happening. Solana outperforms ETH and Bitcoin in such a dramatic way because treasury companies or whatever. Test number 2, the Fibonacci extension test. Before that though, guys, I want to let you know Femex right now is hosting a massive $5 million trading competition. It's open to everyone, by the way. No limits, just real trading, real rewards. You got $3 million in prizes up for grabs for team prizes, $1.5 million for individual prizes, and even a newcomer challenge with $500,000 for fresh traders. This could be your shot to trade on one of the most trusted OG cryptocurrency exchanges in the space. They got the deep liquidity. They got the coins you want to trade. Sign up is live right now. Trading competition is live right now. You can join my team right now using the link right down below. The trading competition runs from June 9th to June 30th, and there's literally millions of dollars up for grabs. If you want in, the time to act is now. Click on the link down below to join Femex and join my team for this trading competition. Let's get it. Okay, Fibonacci. So look, for this one, we want to try and access the odds that SOL can hit the 4.236 Fibonacci extension level for this cycle top, given that this Fib level is just above $1,000. It's a tantalizing target. That's when we measure Solana's price top from the last cycle to the 2022 bear market bottom. Now, the best way we can get a sense of it is if SOL can do this is by looking to see if any other big layer ones have done the same. So I'm talking specifically about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, meaning the more times we find that any of these three coins hit the 4.236 extension level from one cycle peak to the next, then the more likely it is that other coins like Solana can do the same this cycle. So starting off with Bitcoin here, Bitcoin blew past the 4.236 Fibonacci level during the 2017 bull run. So that's a hit. However, during the 2021 blow off top, Bitcoin didn't quite reach it. It peaked about halfway between the 3.618 and the 4.236 level. Maybe you call it good enough, but it didn't quite hit it. Turning to our old buddy Ethereum, Vitalik coin, the 2021 top came in right at the 3.618 level. It did not make it to the 4.236. Cardano didn't even make it to the 2.618 level. You see the relative underperformance of other layer ones. In 2021, therefore, when we look at Solana's three closest comparables, only Bitcoin was able to hit the 4.236 Fibonacci level in 2017. So all of this doesn't bode super well for Solana's odds to do it this time, at least not in 2025. Given that, one, of course, the market dynamics in 2017 were much different than those today, and two, ETH and Cardano, which are a lot more comparable to SOL than Bitcoin is, haven't been able to hit those 4.236 Fibonacci levels either. Now, time for the third test, the Solana market cap test. So what we're going to do here is make optimistic but realistic assumptions about the following. 1, where Bitcoin tops this year. 2, what Bitcoin's dominance will be when it tops. And 3, what Solana's dominance will be during this phase. From there, we can project the total crypto market cap. Got a lot of moving pieces on this one, and then try to derive Solana's price from that number. So obviously a lot of assumptions here. If Solana is $1,000 or above, it passes the test. If it's below, it fails. So our first optimistic but realistic assumption, where does Bitcoin top this year? Well, going back to Polymarket, what do the bettors think? What do the prediction markets think? Well, the bettors right now are giving a 16% chance that it hits $200,000 in 2025. 16% counts as both optimistic and realistic in my book. So we're going to assume here Bitcoin hits $200,000, okay? Second question, what will Bitcoin's dominance be if it hits $200,000? Probably 40%. Maybe 40, 45, but probably around 40%. Let's use 40% as the number here. 40% is relatively optimistic because Bitcoin has been kicking the absolute crap out of everything so far this cycle. Its dominance has been historically epic. So this would be a substantial drop from the current 64% dominance, which would be your altcoin season. This number is realistic also because it's about as low as dominance got at the peak of last cycle's altcoin season. Now, the third question, what's Solana's dominance when Bitcoin is at $200,000 with a 40% dominance? Well, the highest level that Solana's dominance has ever been is 4%. That happened at the beginning of 2025, by the way. So let's be generous. I'm going to give Solana a full percentage point above that and say that an optimistic and realistic Solana dominance target for the cycle, 5%. It's the golden child of the cycle, so why not? So we've got our numbers. $200,000 Bitcoin in 2025, 40% Bitcoin market dominance when that happens, and Solana then has to have a 5% market dominance at the same time. You know, treasury companies, ETFs, all that BS will push it up there. So when we run that math, we get a single SOL priced at $946. Not quite $1,000 bucks, but pretty close. So to wrap this up, we've run a few different tests here for the $1,000 Solana in 2025 question. The first, Solana's percentage gains to Bitcoin. And that showed, again, nobody has a crystal ball here, but that showed that it's pretty unlikely, but certainly not impossible. The second, the Fibonacci extension test. It showed that it's relatively unlikely to happen because other smart contract platforms have been able to do that in the past. The third, the market cap test, under some pretty optimistic but we hope realistic conditions, still had Solana coming just shy of that $1,000 price target inclusion. My answer is no, not super likely, let's say. Oh, can it happen? Of course it can happen, but it's probably not the highest payout bet, let's say, to take. $1,000 Solana in 2025 is not super realistic. If we get a higher for longer cycle, then yeah, 2026, 2027, maybe, let's talk. So if you're hoping to sell your soul bags at $1,000 per coin, you're sitting there waiting, it gets to 946 and you don't sell and then it goes back to $100, don't be that guy, okay? Don't be disappointed. Remember, take money off the table. Instead, think something like a $650 price target. That's an incredible price target for Solana, by the way. This is where Solana's 2.618 Fibonacci extension level is coming in at. It's much more realistic for 2025. If you extend up to the 3.618 line, you get, around $900. See that number again? Now, if you sell at $650 and it still goes to $1,000, you only missed out on 50% gains. But if you don't sell at $650 and it goes back to $100, you can calculate how much money you would have missed out on making by not selling. Just something to think about. Thanks for watching.